Guys, they're bringing back Reading Rainbow. They're bringing back Reading Rainbow. I'm so excited. I mean, I grew up with this show. I was in that chunk period where it was really big on television. We didn't have cable, so PBS was one of the main channels within those limitations where I would watch it. I watched Wishbone, Arthur, and all the other fun things that came on. Um, it made libraries a bit interactive because they would talk about books on the show, and you could go to the library, and if they had it, you could get it. If they didn't, they could order it for you, and it would arrive in a week or a month or whatever. So yeah, it very much encouraged literacy for children in that you could explore things and use your imagination. And it even had things where they would take you along to like a museum or something about if there was a book about fire trucks or firehouses, they would go there, and then there'd be a couple books on this fact. And it was just really, really interesting and exciting. Um, so that being said, we're going to go over the announcement, the new host, which I'm sorry, LeVar Burton's not doing it. He did his time, more than enough. I salute you, my good sir. But they have a new host, and I think they picked a good one, actually. So let's read our way on down to the screen share. And if you want to sing Butterfly in the Sky in your head or out loud, like I'm kind of doing right now, and I would sing it out loud, but for copyright reasons, I can't, feel free. It is the time to do so. So, Michael the librarian is Michael Threets, a viral social media personality, librarian, and the new host of the revived PBS series, Reading Rainbow. There we go. He became famous for his videos to promote library joy, celebrating libraries, and spreading messages of hope and inclusivity. And there's a couple fun pictures of Mr. Michael. I love his shirt. Bands off our books. Absolutely, sir. And there's a picture of him in front of a library. So, yeah, PBS announced September, which is last week at the time of this video, that Threets would host the digital reboot of Reading Rainbow. I just can't stop myself, which was originally hosted by LeVar Burton. Social media star. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Threets began sharing heartwarming and uplifting stories from his work as a librarian on TikTok and Instagram. His post went viral, and he amassed millions of followers. I would like 100 subscribers. That's the key hint to subscribe to my channel. And we're scrolling on down. He is the former Bay Area librarian. Threets was born and raised in Fairfield, California. Worked for 11 years at his childhood library, the Fairfield branch of the Solano County Library. In 2024, he resigned from his position to focus on his mental health and new projects. He has been an advocate for libraries and mental health. Threets openly discusses his own struggles with anxiety and depression. Through his content, he assures his followers that you belong, in quotes, in the library and that it is a safe space for everyone. I mean, that's true. Even me reflecting back on my time with the libraries, no matter what kind of bad week I had, I could always walk in the library and nothing really bad could happen there. I'm trying to think of any bad incidents. Not really. I just go there, browse the books, maybe say hello to the friendly librarians, and leave. That was pretty much it. So even if I had a dark mood going on, or I guess anxiety of my own, not more so anxiety, more so like just, I don't know, growing up in high school and stuff, or going through all kinds of stuff, right? Library was always a good place to go. Just needed to get away. Recognition and other projects. For his work, Threets was a recipient of the American Library Association's I Love My Librarian Award in 2023. He is also the resident librarian for PBS and has a children's book, I'm So Happy You're Here, a celebration of library joy, scheduled for publication in 2026. And so, yes, this is the official trailer you can watch on the Kidzuko channel. It's very fun. And yeah, Reading Rainbow official trailer, educational videos for kids. And I'll put a link for this and some other of the references we'll be going over here today. It is super cool. And here again, here's a bigger shot of their channel. There we go. And they have some other fun content on there. I did some poking around, but for the purposes, we're just going to focus on Reading Rainbow. Now, my Reading Rainbow did not have Michael the Librarian. It had LeVar Burton. And yeah, there he is. And he was also, at the same time period, Geordie LaForge on Star Trek for me. And yeah, so Reading Rainbow ran from 83 for 21 seasons, over 2 decades of Reading Rainbow. Um, and for those that don't really have a cornerstone idea of what Reading Rainbow is, it's pretty much a beloved children's television series that encourage reading by bringing books and their themes to life. The show, which originally ran on PBS for 23 years, featured a magazine-style format with celebrity-narrated book readings, educational field trips, and kid-submitted book reviews. I do remember a couple celebrities on there, um, but it was hard for me to wrap my hand around a celebrity, especially when we had like 12 channels. But every now and then I'd be like, I know that person. And the kids submitted reviews were interesting because um, they were actually felt like legitimate reviews, at least to me when I was watching it, from what I recall. I mean, this was many years ago. So the classic show with LeVar Burton. From 1983 until 2006, actor LeVar Burton hosted the original series on PBS. The show became an influential cultural phenomenon that aired during summer breaks to combat the summer loss phenomenon, which is a decline in reading skills when children are not in school. I mean, we want to go outside and play. But it makes sense to encourage reading during the summertime because if you do it when you're not forced to read it, not a fan of forced reading, um, and you develop that habit of reading on your own, that is much better than, again, forced reading. They highlighted diverse stories and cultures, which helped open young minds to the world. Yeah, I remember that. They would show different cultures, like either from Mexico or Africa or Eastern or Western Europe to Asia to the islands, pretty much everything under the sun. And it was a very good thing. I mentioned the fire truck stuff as well on location field trips, other places like zoos, farms, and museums, which connected the themes of the books to real life experience. So yeah, they had a bunch of books in the theme. They would go on site to location and like talk about things there that you may not know. So it had very much a hands-on, I mean, not really hands-on since you're watching it, I guess. It had a very watchable educational component to real-world application. There we go. That's better said. Featured celebrity narrations of illustrated picture books with guest readers like Ruby Dee, James Earl Jones, and Maya Angelou. It included segments with kids reviewing books by using the iconic catchphrase, but you don't have to take my word for it. Nostalgic vibes. So hard hitting right now. It earned numerous awards, including 26 Emmy Awards and the prestigious Peabody Award. And it goes on to talk about the revival with Michael Threets and inspired educational apps. And looks like, let's see, Sony Pictures Television on YouTube channel Kidzuko, which we showed a moment ago. It's hosted by the online personality Michael Threets, who gained a large following on TikTok, sharing his love of reading and libraries. It'll also, the new one will feature actors and musicians. I'm excited about that to see who comes on the show. In the trailer, they show some celebrities. I think one of them was John Legend and some other actors and actresses. So let's go here. Some more Reading Rainbow facts. The iconic children's television series Reading Rainbow first aired in 83. It ran for 26 years on PBS and won numerous awards. And guess again, Michael Threets is set to premiere on YouTube in October. I don't think we have an exact date of when of October, but I assume soon since we're 3 days in here at the time of this video. History of the original series. Combating summer slide. The show was originally conceived to help combat summer slide, the decline in reading skills children experience when out of school during the summer. Yeah, I mean that's true of all skills. If you take a break from it and come back to it, it's harder to do it again as efficiently as you once did. That's why we say reading habit, but everything is habit forming when you get better at it, which produces skill over time. And diverse representation. The show made diversity a priority, featuring a wide range of cultures and authors, and intentionally chose LeVar Burton to be the person of color as the face of the series. Initial challenges. When the show began, producers struggled to secure rights from publishers who were initially hesitant about television promoting books. However, the show's popularity quickly caused sales of featured books to skyrocket by as much as 900%. So, when you affect somebody's money, all things change, especially when we're talking 900% growth. That is insane. Um, yeah, so very much this helps us sell books. On the verge of cancellation, despite its popularity, the show was constantly threatened by budget shortfalls. At one point, LeVar Burton even used his 2003 Emmy acceptance speech to plead for funding. And we're going to go more into the cancellation in a moment, but well, I guess we're not. We're gonna go into it right now. The show was canceled in 2009. Host LeVar Burton said this was due in part to the No Child Left Behind Act, which shifted funding away from programs focused on fostering a love of reading and towards the taught reading mechanics. So, I'm not against reading mechanics, but when you're taking away the possibility of books are meant for enjoyment, exploration, and curiosity, I'm not a fan of that. When you have something in place that builds upon that. Now, reading mechanics and knowing how to read, yes, that is important too. I'm not saying it's not, but when you kill something that is special, I have a problem with that. Now, if anything, there should have been more federal funding assigned to both of these. You could do both. One focusing on, yeah, the ability to read, and the other one, why reading's important and you should get enjoyment and pleasure out of it. Again, forced reading, not a fan of. And so, yeah, LeVar Burton's dual role during the show's run. Host LeVar Burton was also starring as Geordi LaForge on Star Trek. Next Generation, the Star Trek production accommodated his schedule so he could film Reading Rainbow on weekends. So we got Star Trek during the weekdays. We got Reading Rainbow on the weekends. I mean, talk about a marathon guy. On-set volcano drama. During the filming of an episode about Hawaii's Kailua volcano, some crew members were accidentally left behind overnight near the active site. Weather conditions forced a helicopter evacuation. Can you imagine being some of the crew like, they forgot me and I'm going to die, and not in a good way? Um, how could you forget your crew? Oh, that's great. I mean, that's bad, but it is amusing now. I believe they're all fine. I hope they are, or else I feel bad for kind of laughing at that. Live birth broadcast, an episode titled, and I do remember this because I thought it was bizarre, but an episode titled On the Day You Were Born showed an unsimulated live birth, a first for children's television. I mean, when you're covering all aspects and knowledge and education, I mean, that's what I call pushing the envelope, especially during, I believe this is in the 90s when this happened. Not a professional cast. The children who reviewed books on the show were not professional actors. Producers held audition to find students who would be natural on camera and help them write their own reviews. So, okay, I guess they were semi-biased as they got help writing the reviews, and they just picked some, well, you're not freezing up on camera, you'll do. Because I really remember them having, I don't think the children were consistent. I may be wrong in that, but I don't think they were. So let's get into some drama here. So, why was the original Reading Rainbow canceled? Well, we do know is the reallocation of public television funding following the 2002 passing of the No Child Left Behind Act. This legislation shifted the focus of educational television away from encouraging a love of reading and toward teaching basic reading mechanics such as phonics. Some of the key reasons for the cancellation shift in educational priorities. The No Child Left Behind Act emphasized testing and measurable proficiencies in reading mechanics, which did not align with the Reading Rainbow's broader goal of fostering a love of reading. The funding priorities were reoriented to support shows that explicitly taught phonics and spelling. Now, I think both are important. And again, I think more funding should have been allocated, especially when you're writing a bill like that. And I think the ball was dropped, and I don't know if this was an oversight or intentional, but they messed up. Bottom line, in my opinion. And that's what it is, an opinion. Now, I'm not against the No Child Left Behind. The whole testing phase, upping that, my nephews went through this, and they said it was a horrible experience, and they never learned anything. Because they were just pretty much teaching how to pass the test. They weren't teaching to know it forever. Just how can we get high scores? Because we get more funding that way. But let's go on down as I'm getting on a little bit of a political tangent here. Budget constraints. With federal educational funding no longer available to support its mission, the show faced severe budget cuts. According to John Grant, a former head of content at the WNED Buffalo, the cost to renew the show's broadcasting rights was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, money that was no longer available. So when you're getting bankrolled by the government in multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're like, nope, you no longer qualify all of a sudden, how are you going to get the money? And as we mentioned, we had LeVar Burton pleading for money and all kinds of things. Loss of funding for promoting reading. Host LeVar Burton explained in interviews that the legislation defunded the encouragement of reading, leaving, and that's in quotes, encouragement of reading, leaving no money in the coffers for a show like Reading Rainbow, which was designed to foster a love of books. So why teach people to read if they don't want to learn or have a passion for reading? Yeah, again, huge mistake. So, inability to generate revenue. Unlike shows with identifiable characters and merchandise, Reading Rainbow had no way to license products, putting it in a financial disadvantage compared to other children's programs. Yeah, I didn't have a Blue's Clues, didn't have Sesame Street, Muppet Line, though LeVar Burton dolls or maybe some rainbow thing. I don't know if the rainbow is in Creative Commons or not. That'd be interesting. Anyway, this left the show vulnerable when its traditional funding sources dried up. And the show filmed its last new episode in 2006, so almost 20 years ago, 19 years ago. And reruns continued to air on PBS until it was officially taken off the air in 2009. And the world was sad. So I did take some looking, and you can watch the Reading Rainbow on PBS through streaming platforms. You can purchase the DVDs, obviously. So the PBS streaming app or the PBS Retro streaming app. There's also Just Watch and the Internet Archives. And I think Amazon has individual episodes are available as well, or select seasons. So it isn't lost entirely, but they're making it really hard. And Blu-ray copy would be really cool, especially if they up the color and improve the audio a bit. That would be nice. So LeVar Burton wasn't done with books after the show was canceled. Several years later, he did have a short story podcast come out. I believe it ran for 175 episodes, where it was masterfully done with the audio and special effects, him reading the short stories, and it was geared toward adults. So he read to people that were children who were now adults, and now he's reading to adults instead of children, basically. Um, it is not necessarily a reading format like Reading Rainbow. It's more of LeVar Burton's personal picks of short stories. A lot of them are fantastic. Excuse me. And it did end, I think it ended in May last year, but 175 episodes over the course of 7 years. It was a good time. It brought, kind of like the announcement of the Reading Rainbow reboot, a lot of nostalgia came back. And I listened to majority of them. I still have a few more to get through, but they're really good and I suggest checking them out. You can check them out on Spotify here. And yeah, just tons and tons of content. They run for about an hour each. He gives a why we're reading this book. He'll read the book to you with, again, masterfully edited with all the little special effects and stuff, and kind of give a summary toward the end and the experience of the reading. It's worth checking out. And again, that is just called LeVar Burton Reads. I will put a link in that definitely in the description as well. Now, for those that may not know, and I would highly hope you would, there is a documentary called Butterfly in the Sky, yes, which chronicles the journeys of broadcasters, educators, and filmmakers who believe television could inspire a lifelong love of reading with the acclaimed PBS show Reading Rainbow. You can watch this on Netflix, you can stream it, or you can rent or buy it on Amazon Prime. IMDb gave it a 8.3. So yeah, it's an hour and 27 minutes long, and it got 10 wins for awards and 4 nominations, and it is worth the watch. And if you're watching this on the YouTube, here are a few of the people that are in it. Quite the lineup there. And LeVar Burton also had an educational thing on Kickstarter. I think they raised like 5.4 million or something crazy, and it was called Scribrary, I believe, was the original name of it, which is a children literacy product that's interactive with mobile apps and all of that, and an interactive library of ebooks and video exploration for children, kind of ages 2 to 9. Um, they have over 900 plus titles available in their catalog. Um, LeVar Burton did sign it over to the Reading is Fundamental nonprofit charity. It's getting up there in years, and he wanted to carry it forward. And these guys were the solution to that. I don't remember how many schools this got into. Um, it has Read to Me, where the narrators read the book to you, classroom versions, teacher management tools, standard aligned lessons, and student reporting, and all that fun stuff. So between Reading Rainbow and I think LeVar Burton Reads, he did this very one of the most successful Kickstarter campaigns of all time. Um, and then he went on to LeVar Burton Reads. Then we got the documentary, and we've always got Geordi of Star Trek, right? And he's done other stuff, but those are probably the two biggest billings for him, and the one of the main leads in Roots as well, that television show. So they're bringing it back. They're bringing Reading Rainbow back, and I hope children, and I hope the show's format provide children the same experience I grew up with, because I consider that kind of invaluable. We're blending technology with reading, and I think this is the way to do it. Honestly, and things like his Skybrary program, or which is part of the Literacy Network for Reading is Fundamental, things like that. That yes, we have technology in our fast-paced society, but we can blend that with reading, and I think the two can have a happy marriage together. Now, is everything perfect? No. Can modifications, improvements be made over time? Yes, but we got to do our part. We got to support these things, or they'll just go away. Um, and it would be a real shame and a backwards motion in our society, in my opinion. So we'll see how the new reboot version does with Mr. Michael the Librarian. I hope it does fantastic. The trailer looks great. Everything kind of checks a lot of boxes, at least in the under 2 minute trailer. And Reading Rainbow. So I think that's going to do it for today. If you like what we're covering on these videos that we're doing, I do have a Patreon where you could support me, get a Discord group, and we're starting a book club with that. And there's lots of tools and resources in the Discord already for people to use either for researching, collecting, and or reselling. There's a lot of things covered in the spectrum of all things books. Again, that Patreon link is in the description, and I'll have links for everything in today's video that's relevant. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. So keep on booking on.